This is from the Oversight Committee. Joe Biden was not running the show. Our new report exposes how Biden's decline was real and his aides covered it up. Aides didn't even know who was operating the autopen to sign official documents and pardons. Watch the truth they tried to bury. It's a bit of a long one, but it's going to be a good one. I just know it. I haven't seen it. I just react as I go, but it's gotten quite a bit of attention, 17,000 likes. And yeah, it's on its way to, it's been out for 12 hours. Still, regardless, Oversight Committee, let's check this out.
Was the number one issue in the campaign the president's fitness or his age?
Did you ever see President Biden in a wheelchair?
I do not recall ever seeing President Biden in a wheelchair.
And new information now on the people in his inner circle and how the cover-up actually operated.
Senior aides that worked here until just a couple months ago, the beginning of this year, manipulating an ailing president for their own gain.
How much were you paid for your role in the campaign in 2024?
Just a little bit short of $4 million.
I'm sorry.
What?
$4 million.
$4 million?
I believe that the president should stay in the race. Your own financial stake in the matter was a factor in any.
Wait a minute. Former senior advisor to the president. That dude got $4 million during the campaign. Did I hear that right? That's the amount of money that he earned while doing that? How is that not corrupt? That sounds absolutely insane. There should be rules against that.
I don't believe that.
And when it comes to President Biden's decline, the official word from Biden World about all these news stories is that nothing has been revealed this week that shows that President Biden was anything but an effective president.
Yes, I noticed that he was aging in terms of his physical condition. I noticed that, he shuffled more.
But he has.
Yeah, he was an old man. No big deal. Come on, man.
Gaffes that he did, at the beginning of the term.
His rhetorical skill.
The gaffes, just about every other sentence was a gaffe from Joe Biden. True and honest shove of pressure. That was one of them. There were a whole bunch of ones. There were tons of them out there.
Not as strong as they had been, and his speeches were less effective, I thought.
We talked about age. We knew it was an issue, and we tried to design a strategy.
We had a discussion at the senior advisor level about whether the president should have a cognitive exam.
Flashback now to the legacy media's complete
I think every president should be required to do so.
Decline.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This
God, that dude could be such a dick.
Of Biden is the best Biden ever.
His mental acuity
like I said,
great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
Then why did whenever he would give an impromptu interview, that would occur, like what? You could count it on one single hand for his entire presidency. I don't think he gave an off-the-fly interview with the press at all. Like just taking Q&A. Like what Trump does virtually every single morning. At least Trump did that during his first term every single morning. Right in front of Marine One. He would just sit there and just talk to the press for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour. He would take any question. And you knew the questions that Trump was getting from them. Russia this, Russia that, Russia, just all this like conspiratorial bullshit that he had to like just dodge a bunch of nonsense, this whole witch hunt bullshit. He took any question that they gave him and he answered it accordingly. Biden wouldn't even hold one of those press conferences. It had to be very carefully scripted. Even the questions that were given to Biden, which of course they orchestrated all that beforehand because the press, they weren't going to ask Biden questions without him knowing which questions were what. They even put in pictures of the reporters next to the question that was going to be asked. So he knew exactly who it was who was asking the question. That's a little fucked up.
I said I had not seen decline.
Oh, I love that look he gave her.
Just fine. How people interpret that is up to them.
We're watching the testimony of this woman here, Annie Thomas Sr. She's the former senior advisor to President Joe Biden. She was the third person set to appear before James Comer's committee. She has now,
in other words, she's the autopen in chief.
Pattern of key Biden confidants seeking to shield themselves from criminal liability for this potential conspiracy.
Were you ever told to lie about the president?
Dude, I hope they overthrow all this shit.
Counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based upon the physician-patient privilege and in reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Oh, what a
record
weasel.
reflect that Dr. O'Connor has invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Dr. O'Connor, did you ever believe the president was unfit to execute his duties as president?
And we can tell you that he will.
Dude, of course his physician's gonna hide behind the privilege between patient and doctor. That's so fucking scummy, dude. That's so greasy.
Have the same
so
answer
greasy.
with respect to any questions that are asked.
Did any unelected official
That should
or
be all a
family
matter of
member
public
of
record.
President Joe Biden
All of it.
execute the duties of the presidency? Did Joe Biden, a member of his
'Cause he's the
family,
president.
or anyone at the White House ever instruct you to lie regarding his health?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Are you
and if
surprised?
That wasn't shocking enough, Dick Tapper claims Hunter Biden was basically acting like the chief of staff.
Hunter was driving the decision making for the family. He was almost like a chief of staff.
Did you notice an uptick ever?
But yeah, remember the cocaine they found in the White House? Of course he was there all the time. That was the proof.
Joe Biden was around.
Yes. Towards the end, I think he was living with the president.
They were lying not just to the public, they were lying to other Democrats.
Have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Were you in favor of Hunter Biden getting a pardon?
Yes. Did you ever ask Joe Biden?
Wait a minute. Did he really pardon himself?
The allegations regarding his son were true?
No.
Ian Sams, who was the White House spokesperson, interacted with him 2 times. 2 times.
Well, I think it's really important to take the soundbite and understand the context.
How often would you say that you interacted with the president in person?
I interacted with him pretty infrequently. I think I met with the president a handful of times during my tenure in the White House. I gotta say, that doesn't look anything like the president that I know. When I deal with him, he's sharp, he's asking tough questions. That's the President Biden that so many of us experience every single day.
Yeah, I think it's missing some context.
I don't.
So it raises serious concerns and serious questions about...
Dude, if looks could kill, man, their facial expressions say everything. They could plead the fifth all they want. Just like they just fucking look guilty just by sitting there with their resting faces.
Calling shots in the White House. If the White House,
of course, that won't hold up in court.
Is being shielded from the president of the United States, who was operating the Oval Office?
Age wasn't an issue for you or for President Biden?
No,
no.
It was not a concern.
Do you think President Biden was fully in command that night during the debate?
I do believe that he was fully in command that night during the debate.
I knew it was very difficult to get past some of the visual things that were causing people concern about the president's budget.
The voters' concerns about President Biden were wrong?
Yes.
He often would confuse names.
Do you think it got worse as you knew him?
Yes.
Are you sure you're being honest with yourself when you say you have the mental and physical capacity to serve another 4 years?
Yes, I am.
I did not have the experience that it took him longer to answer.
I mean, props to that question.
He could stumble. He must have stumbled some physically.
What is a cheap fake?
It was something that we did not coin. It was something that the media
Damn, dude, they brought everybody in for questioning.
Did anyone ever verify if the videos you were talking about were, in fact, cheap fakes?
I believe so.
But there were instances where videos were circulated of President Biden appearing confused or freezing for a moment that were real, correct?
Not that I recall.
She told you this real video of Biden getting lost in an Italian field was fake. Now she's saying, yeah, my White House was broken and I'm switching parties.
I remember that. Y'all remember that?
Really constrained his voice.
He didn't know where the hell he was.
His ability to be forceful in the debate.
It's actually the Italian prime minister had to corral him back to the crowd.
That night to him being under the weather.
That's my assumption.
The ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies.
Had you ever seen him have a cold or the flu before?
Yes.
Did he ever behave the way that he did during the debate?
Not that I ever saw.
It was
clear
what he was trying to say.
Dude, they did everything to get him on his absolute A game when he was in this debate against Trump. God knows, like, what amphetamines or God knows what that they pumped him up with to try to just keep him as sharp as attack as possible, which, I mean, obviously that wasn't going to happen no matter what they gave him.
Dealing with everything we have to do with, look,
Dude, Trump held back so much. He could have absolutely eviscerated him during that debate. He really could have.
It was the people that knew he was cognitively impaired and that took over the autopen. They stole the presidency of the United States.
Do you know who the people who were actually operated the autopen were?
I do not.
Do you know any of the
Nobody's going to admit it.
who were using the
Not
autopen?
happening.
No,
You don't know their names?
no.
Have you never seen a decision memo laying out the breakdown of when the president should hand sign a particular set of documents?
Not prior to prep. Did he hand sign all executive orders?
He did not. He hand signed many executive orders, but he did not hand sign all executive orders.
Can you read your response?
I approve the use of the autopen for the execution of all the following pardons. Thanks, Jay-Z.
Did you yourself write this email?
I do not believe I did.
That autopen was used excessively.
So
and yet
he's
no one
autopen
can
in
say
chief.
for certain that Joe Biden was given the orders to use the autopen.
We've been pretty transparent from the very beginning with providing information as it occurs throughout this process.
That we anticipated that her report was going to come out and that we didn't feel an entire interview before the Super Bowl talking about classified documents was going to help the cause too much.
I think you can question the validity and the legality of those pardons and executive orders, and that's huge.
But the president is absolutely sharp, fit, on top of his game.
So they're just making up lies to attack the president.
But do you think his mental acuity had declined?
Well, that tends to happen when you age. All right, there we go. So very interesting. Very interesting. Oh, here we go. Read the full report at oversight.house.gov. Well, let me see if that's on here. Oversight.house.gov. There it is. Right here. Here's the full report, which I'm not going to read. I will link it, though, if you want to check it out. So I will read at least a paragraph or two just to get a little bit of info from it. So the report exposes Biden's decline, the White House cover-up, and invalid executive actions. Signed by autopen, Chairman Comer sends referrals to the DOJ and D.C. Board of Medicine. Today, the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform released a staff report titled The Biden Autopen Presidency, Decline, Delusion, and Deception in the White House. The report exposes how President Joe Biden's top advisors, political operatives, and personal physician concealed the president's mental and physical decline from the American people. The findings reveal that as President Biden's condition deteriorated, his aides exercised presidential authority and facilitated executive actions without his direct authorization, including misusing the autopen and failing to properly document decision-making processes. Why not just let Kamala Harris just do her thing? She was vice president. You'd think that that would have been the absolute perfect time for Democrats to usher in the first Black Asian woman president. Welcome, Kamala Harris, or Madam President Harris, or whatever. That still has me wondering why they didn't do that. They could have done that like 3 weeks before the election. That way they could have still had that win, first woman president. But nope, they didn't do it. Anyway, so following the findings of its investigation, the chairman, James Comer, Republican Kentucky, sent a letter to the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi requesting the U.S. Department of Justice conduct a comprehensive review of all executive actions taken during the Biden presidency and scrutinize key Biden aides, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, Annie Tomasini, and Anthony Bernal, who pleaded the Fifth Amendment during the investigation. Chairman Comer also sent a letter to the District of Columbia Board of Medicine seeking its review of actions taken by Dr. O'Connor to determine any potential wrongdoing in his medical care of the former president. And it goes on from there. Obviously, it's going to be a lengthy read, but it's down there below if you want to check it out. Oversight.house.gov. And going back, I've got a post from AG Bondi herself. My team has already initiated a review of the Biden administration's reported use of autopen for pardons. Rep. James Comer's new information is extremely helpful, and his leadership on this issue is invaluable. We'll continue working with GOP oversight to deliver accountability for the American people. So it looks like the DOJ, they're hard at work on it. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And I'll move on to the next thing from FBI Director Kash Patel. Every day this FBI is releasing documents like these. Like what? So let's check that out first. In fact, so this is from Kevin Roberts. The fact that this exists is an indictment of the FBI, not my friend Ed Corrigan. I hope that FBI Director Kash and Dan Bongino will look into this right away. And he's replying to Molly, MZ Hemingway, "This is so insane and so divorced from reality that it tells us the situation at the FBI was a million times worse than even those who think it's unsalvageable believed. Ed Corrigan is one of the most beloved members of the conservative movement across every faction on the right." So if you don't know who Ed Corrigan is, and honestly, I wasn't very familiar with him. I've heard his name somewhere, but I do have a biography, just a brief description of who he is in case you don't know. But first, I'll read what everybody's freaking out over. So first off, the watermark, it says for HJC only, not for external dissemination. And it's obviously email correspondence from, it's redacted, subject unclassified. This was on September 14th of 2022 at 10:03 a.m. Classification unclassified. It says, give me a call back when you can. Maybe I should read it from bottom to top. I think that's the order of the correspondence. So it says, I attached the bio I found for blank, and here's a document about him in our system. And the name of the document, of course, redacted. Blank thinks that blank would be willing to talk to the FBI. Sorry for the sparse nature of the info. If there is something you'd like me to have blank ask, please let me know. Cheers, blank. Let's see. All right, so the next message, according to blank, who communicates with blank, blank is a blank of Ed Corrigan. Man, it feels like Match Game, man. According to blank, Ed Corrigan is pro-Putin and anti-Biden. Blank, along with blank colleague at the blank and blank, 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 blankety blank, consider what Corrigan is doing treason. Blank believes that Corrigan and his boss, Mark Meadows, are engaging in willful criminal activity. According to blank, Corrigan has blank properties at which he wants to build up infrastructure to train people for civil war. Corrigan secretly controls the Freedom Caucus and has plans that are not good for the FBI. Corrigan hates the FBI, who he refers to as spooks. Corrigan claims to have identified an blank as a spook in the blank. Additionally, blank thinks Kushner may have given classified documents to the Saudis as part of the $2 billion deal. And then the final message, of course, we don't know who it's from, who it's going to, who was CC'd, but it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 names that are blacked out. But then there's Walter Giardina, not familiar with that individual, on September 14th of 22. And it says, give me a call back when you can. I'm assuming this is probably coming from the FBI. That would be my assumption. So yeah, with all that said, just real quick, who is Ed Corrigan? So I've got this from the Conservative Partnership Institute. Ed Corrigan, president and CEO. Corrigan has over 25 years of leadership experience on Capitol Hill and in the conservative movement. In 2009, GQ magazine named Corrigan to its list of 50 most powerful people in D.C. He was tapped by the Trump transition to lead the personnel selection process for all domestic policy departments, placing hundreds of conservatives in key administrative positions. Known for his passion to build a conservative movement, he works with the Conservative Action Project and serves on the board of the Leadership Institute. Corrigan previously served in senior roles in the U.S. Senate. From 2003 through 2012, he was executive director of the Senate Steering Committee, the caucus of conservative senators under two chairmen, Senator Jim DeMint and Senator Jeff Sessions. He served again at steering as executive director under Chairman Mike Lee during the spring of 2017. He got a start on Capitol Hill as an intern on the staff of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee under Senator Jesse Helms. From 91 to 2003, he served in various capacities, including legislative director in the office of Senator Bob Smith. In 2011, Corrigan received the Weyrich Award for Capitol Hill Staffer of the Year, an honor named after former Hill aide Paul M. Weyrich, who became the first president of the Heritage Foundation. In 2013, Corrigan was named Heritage Foundation's Group Vice President for Policy Promotion, which worked to advance conservative policy on Capitol Hill and in the conservative movement. He was born, so, you know, that's not really exactly relevant as to what we're looking at. But anyway, that's just a basic, gist of who he is. Not really a politician per se, but definitely one of those top guys working in the background. All right, so going back to Kash Patel's post, he says, every day this FBI is releasing documents like these to give the public full view of what happened, work with Congress to right the wrongs, and hold accountable anyone who acted unethically, period. Corruption like this is being crushed in your federal government day by day. It's a new era. So I don't believe there's any follow-up Let's see, Russiagate is not going away. The Dirty Dozen. So these are all going to be comments below. So yeah, I don't know if we're going to see the consequences to everything that's been going on under the Biden administration. I would probably, I would definitely give an educated guess that if they were to arrest every single person who actually broke federal law, they would probably have to build jails to house all of them. All right, so moving to House Judiciary GOP. Today's major revelations are all thanks for the leadership of FBI Director Cash and our oversight. Major story number 1, and we've got major story number 2. I believe it's in reference to these documents, but first let me open this up and see what they're referencing. It might have been what I just covered. Actually, no. So this is breaking. New Arctic frost documents reveal even further wide-ranging investigation by Biden's DOJ to take down President Trump and his supporters. Here's the highlights. Arctic frost investigators utilized FBI field offices from across the country to conduct its investigation. Arctic frost investigators requested $16,600 to travel to conduct more than 40 interviews. 45 individuals, including Steve Bannon, Scott Perry, Rudy Giuliani, Jeffrey Clark, John Eastman, and Mark Meadows were potentially under investigation. Another 111 individuals, including Peter Navarro, Dan Scavino, Jeff Rosen, and Ed Martin, were also potentially under investigation. Read all the documents here. And of course, there's definitely not going to be enough time to comb through everything, but these are the documents, and my God, there's a lot of them. 198 pages worth of documents. So that email correspondence that I read initially looks like it's probably going to be in here somewhere. So yeah, dude, if you have quite a few hours on your hands, and if you want to dig through the documents, if you enjoy looking at they say it's unclassified. Maybe now it's unclassified, but maybe it was all along. I don't know. But I see, obviously they've encrypted a lot of the communications back and forth. But I mean, this is a report from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So talking about something from Lawrence, Texas, or an individual by the name of Lawrence Tabas. So anyway, a lot of information there. That'll be linked. You want to check into that. And let's see what the other thing was. Looked like 2 pages. Or hold on. Yep, here we go. All right, so more breaking news. New documents prove Bennie Thompson and Liz Chaney were working hand in hand with Jack Smith. The partisan J6 committee provided transcripts, documents, and text messages, all to take down President Trump and his associates. And this one comes from, 117th Congress Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. On December the 9th of 2022, Mr. Jack Smith, Special Counsel, United States Department of Justice. Dear Mr. Smith, earlier this week, the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol, quote, Select Committee, end quote, produced to you 16 interview and deposition transcripts along with exhibits associated with those transcripts. Today, we are producing to you documents that were produced to the Select Committee by Dr. John Eastman from his account at Chapman University and text messages produced by former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Along with the latter, we are producing a staff-created spreadsheet of the Meadows text that contains additional information from privilege logs that Mr. Meadows provided to the Select Committee, as well as names linked to telephone numbers where the Select Committee could identify them. The names linked to telephone numbers were not provided by Mr. Meadows, but were instead based in some cases on only publicly available information. The Select Committee will continue to provide materials to your office on a rolling basis. From Bennie G. Thompson and Liz Chaney. And then this one addressed to Jack Smith. Same thing, Select Committee to investigate January 6th. Dear Mr. Smith, as you know, the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol, the Select Committee is concluding its investigative work. The Select Committee will soon issue its report, which will be available to the public. We also want to make evidence we have gathered available to the Department of Justice. We are beginning today by producing 16 transcripts of interviews and depositions taken by the Select Committee, along with exhibits associated with those transcripts. As we continue to conduct the remaining work of the Select Committee, we also plan to provide you with additional evidence as soon as possible. From Bennie G. Thompson and Liz Chaney. So that's the latest as far as that goes from the House Judiciary GOP.